Welcome to Jeff Wood Executive Recruitment Industry Pulse interviews with Gold Coast CEOs, where we talk about their business, some of the key challenges they face and what lies ahead for 2020. Today we were speaking with Clive van Deventer, who is the current CEO of Revitalife, a brilliant Gold Coast business that makes therapeutic bedding for all sorts of athletes as well as for people who just have trouble sleeping on normal mattresses. Hi Clive, welcome.
Hello Jeff, hi.
Tell me, to start with, tell me all about Revitalife business. What's it all about?
Your Revitalife business, it's a really interesting business. We're a family-owned company. It's based on the Gold Coast with operations throughout the whole country. Essentially what we do is we design and create products for either athletes or the older generation on the Gold Coast, and then we manufacture offshore. We bring the products in and distribute it through our network throughout the country. So it's adjustable beds and riser chairs, the ones that you're sitting in as well.
Excellent. In terms of the size of the business, how many staff does it employ?
It's a medium-sized business. Across the country, approximately 70 staff members, dispersed all around all the states.
Excellent. Yeah. And tell me, when you first came on board as the CEO, was there a climate of change that you saw that needed to happen within the business?
Oh yes, I did. One of the key things when I met the owner of the business, a guy by the name of Lance Kloos, this is a new business for me. I've never been in this particular industry, and we decided that for the first 3 months that I would probably not touch the business too much, learn and seek to understand the business first. Like any other CEO, you're really eager to get change and make things happen. So first 30 days, did a plan, and over the next 3 months I did brief changes, small changes within the business, more operational business changes, and then after the first 90 days was gone, I started with the real big changes. And yes, it most certainly, when you do changes, there's always going to be people that are going to be acceptive of the changes, and they stay, and I'm really proud to say that there were quite a few. But there were also people who couldn't really take the changes, and they moved on. Yeah.
So what have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced over the last couple of years?
Within Revitalife, it's really to ensure that we get the right people in the right positions, doing the right things within the time and within the budget. That has been the biggest sort of aspect for me. This is definitely a people's business. And then most certainly understanding, to get to understand the new market conditions that we work in, because there's been so many changes in the marketplace over the period of time.
I was going to ask you about those changes. What are some of the changes you've seen in the industry sector over those last 12 months?
Since the period that I've been in the business, there's been a lot of small companies that have been popping up. The power of the internet is really, really good. Online sales is just so easy to do nowadays. So you get a lot of businesses that open doors that can portray as being in the industry for a long time and being experts, but it's easy for them to start up in the business. So I find that most certainly in terms of that's been one of the biggest sort of challenges that's happened. And in our particular industry, we're a direct sales company, and we've got different distribution channels, but most certainly the direct...
So direct sales, you mean you actually make an appointment, go and see a household after hours, and then make the sale through that door?
Correct, but we do it within working hours.
Within working
hours. We never really go after hours. And legislation keeps on changing, and one has to be basically always be aware of what is happening in the industry and what is what changes are coming and what the future looks like. So that's probably the biggest sort of things for us.
Being such a competitive industry, obviously it's important to have a real point of difference. What's Revitalife's point of difference in the market?
I believe that we've got a couple of points of difference. Number one is the sales process that we embark on. It's a very unique sales process. It's very, it's a process that is driven around the customer, very customer-centric, and understanding what the customer's needs are, but we spend really a lot of quality time in that, and we believe that we've got subject matter experts in sleep. The second point of difference for us is beginning of the year, signed up an agreement with a company called Halogenics, and we basically exclusive agents on technology, far infrared technology called Salient. A company like Under Armour uses that. It's really unique. And we're the only company that has the agreement to be able to sell that in our adjustable bed.
So that's a unique selling point.
Very, very different. Yeah, very, very unique.
Yeah.
When you have a look at Salient in itself, just very briefly, because as you can see, I'm really excited about that technology. It does improve your sleep by about 18.2 minutes per night.
Wow.
So it's a massive, massive improvement, and it's a great difference for us.
Yeah. Excellent. Tell me, you've got a workforce that covers the country and overseas. How difficult it is to get people to really embrace the overall vision of the organisation? Do you travel a lot, and do you have people out there really getting people embraced in the actual vision of the business?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, in the beginning of the year, we had a strategy session, and got all of the managers and the leaders in the business together, where I really shared what the vision is for the company. And then from there, did road shows. We've got newsletters. We communicate with newsletters, and it's the constant. Once a quarter, I try and get out into the field, and then have meetings, group meetings with my sales team, and communicate and just keep them aligned on that. And in a company like us, it is because of the labour force that we have, it is one that you've got to constantly just keep people back onto the narrow and the true north of the business.
Yeah.
And
so everybody's aligned to that vision.
100%.
Excellent.
Yeah. And it's not something that you can just set and forget.
No.
It is something that you've got to constantly work on. And you're always going to have people that do not really align with your vision.
Yeah.
And then it's really important to make those changes should you require to.
Yeah. Talk about making changes. An interesting question I've got is around problem solving. I guess when you first started as the CEO, you would have liked people to just sort of, well, I'm the boss, I'll handle all the issues and solve all the problems. Is that the way that you now operate, or do you empower other people to make decisions themselves, or does it still need to come through yourself?
I believe that in every problem there's a solution. So the most important sort of thing is to first of all clearly define what the problem is and what the risk to the business is. In some cases, I need to make a decision there and then, and it's a decision that I have to make. However, I prefer to really engage the staff and get them to be empowered to make those decisions, and getting them engaged behind the problem, understanding the problem, and then have their feedback, because that's how you engage the staff.
Yeah. And had that been happening in previous people who took on your role before you, or?
To a certain extent, but not exactly. No, it hasn't. It was a lot more dictatorial.
Yeah.
I also believe that to empower people to make decisions, but there has to be clear barriers.
Yeah.
People have to always basically understand, what their, and it's normally around the monetary value of that particular decision based on their experience.
Yeah.
An example of that is, I have I'd for example have a regional manager, and a regional manager would be able to make decisions up to a certain value.
Yeah.
And then if that is over exceeded, they need to get authority on that.
Yeah.
And so we manage in that particular manner.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You've obviously had a lot of achievements since you've took on the reins of the CEO of Revitalife. What are you most proud of?
I guess the first and most important sort of thing, or the thing that I felt or really feel the most proud about, is how resilient the staff is. That there's a lot of people in this particular business that, a new CEO comes in, a lot of change.
Yes.
I've moved some senior people along, and and whereby there's a core in this particular business that are very loyal, and they are they're most certainly very supportive. So the grit that they show and the resilience that they've shown is really, I'm proud of that. The second thing that I'm really proud of is the conclusion of the Salient agreement, and I think that was a great achievement.
Yeah.
I've actually busy with my final year awards, so I had a look at that. We had a fantastic year last year in our online sales, as an example, our inbound sales. We had increased that online sales by 38%. So the numbers are looking really good. So there's just so much to be proud of in this particular business at this point in time.
Excellent.
And we've got the foundations right to really get a good start next year.
Excellent. On the opposite side, if there's one thing you'd like to have changed, what would it have been?
Or that's things that keep you awake, right? So I think the most important thing that I'd love to be able to change is that the way that we remunerate our sales force.
Yeah.
We're a direct sales force company, and a lot of our sales force is based on what you eat is what you kill is what you eat.
Yeah.
So I would love to be able to change the way that I remunerate them. And I think that is an important change in the business that's due to come down the line.
Excellent. Yeah. How do you see the current sort of climate out there in terms of your business, but the greater sort of Gold Coast and regional and Australia-wide business?
I'm a very positive person, but I do believe that there is a couple of sort of things that you can't shy away from what's happening globally. So, and I'll probably just talk a little bit more about the global before I go really regional. The impact that we have currently as an importer on the dollar exchange rate, hovering around about 68 cents. So that puts a pressure on the price importing product. The trade wars that are happening, that can and potentially could get worse. We hope that it doesn't. It hasn't really affected us that much, but we don't know what pressures there will be from that. And then most certainly, we've got we had a multiple tier economy in the country, and I think that has, with mining and everything else has slowed down. There's a lot of pressures there. On the other side, what we also have is all the fires that's been happening. Mm-hmm. We've had the droughts, we've got the fires, and what the result is affordability is a massive issue for us at the moment. We find that more and more people complain about affordability. Regions that are affected quite heavily is Southern Australia. We find that Southern Australia is a little bit more, a little bit more depressed, and a little bit more, finding a little bit harder in terms of affordability. The Gold Coast, on the other hand, we've been riding a wave here on the Gold Coast, and it just seems like it really is very good for us.
Excellent.
It's a strong market, and we're really, really confident. And I think it's also because housing prices here are escalating slightly, not the same as some of the other areas that are dropping, and it's a good market for us. Indeed. So very positive about the Gold Coast. It's a great place to work, great place to move for a career, and the environment is really good.
Excellent. So what lies ahead for Revitalife in 2020? What are some of the things you're looking for, and what are some of the challenges you're going to be facing going?
I think that, I'll start off with some of the challenges, and I do believe that those are opportunities. I believe that one of the key challenges are going to be a lot more companies will enter on the online side, and I think some of the bigger players like Amazon will probably be a little bit more, will also try and play on the online side in our particular industry as the industry matures. I do believe that as our company, what we've got to most certainly look at is a multiple distribution channels, not just the direct sales. So we'll look at omni-channel as well. Yeah. So we'll look at bricks and mortar combined with online. So that the philosophy that I believe is that I don't care what age you are, and whether you buy online or you buy offline, our product should be made available to you in the best possible, easiest possible way for you to see it, touch it, feel it, and purchase it. Yeah. So we've got to look at all the other channels, and that's what we're looking at.
So it's exciting times for the business. Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so.
Terrific.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you a personal question. Talking to a lot of CEOs on the Gold Coast and managing directors and similar type senior executives, it can be quite lonely at the top. Do you have a mentor or somebody you turn to when you've got some tough decisions to make and you really like to get a second opinion somewhere else?
Yes, I think it's really important, and it is lonely on top. It is lonely to, some days you feel like pulling out your hair but you can't show that to the staff. You've always got to basically be composed and confident and etc. But some days you do feel, you need somebody else to talk to. Fortunately, over the period of time, I've made really good friends and colleagues that are CEOs and managing directors. So I'm able to talk in confidence with them and share ideas and vent. And then I've also met a couple of people like you, Jeff, that I know that I can call upon, especially when it's in recruiting and I need help and assistance, just from an employee type of side. It's really important to align yourself with somebody like yourself. And then if everything fails, I've got a really good friend in Google. I sometimes look at McKinsey reports for leadership and the Harvard Business Reviews. So those are the two different sides that I basically I love going and reading up Harvard Business Reviews and getting new articles, and then finally you've got to have vent your frustration. I run in the morning, and you've got to have a healthy balance.
Very good. Wrapping up, I'd like to thank Clive for the time that you've spent with us today. We've certainly gained a greater insight into the Revitalife business and your achievements here as the CEO of Revitalife as well. So thank you very much, and we wish you all the best for yourself and also the business going forward in 2020.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
it was
Clive.
a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks.